Hello, and how are you feeling today? Welcome to episode 1 of Coaching from Not a Blue Tree with me, Gary Burns. This episode is all about coaching and the bottom line, which in the case of coaching is all about goal setting. Whatever the coaching relationship, whether for personal development or professional improvement, a coaching relationship is all about goal setting and goal getting. And before you switch off, turned off by the notion of goal setting and all that you've learned to date, do hear me out, at least for the next few minutes. There are real, tangible benefits to setting goals, and by this I mean having an idea of what we want to achieve today, this week, this month, this year, within the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. A clear, specific idea, something which we can check when the time comes and state unequivocally and categorically that we have it or we do not. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. We have it or we do not. So there are 3 key benefits to setting goals and making plans. The first is that by stating what we want and when we want it, we give ourselves direction and purpose. And this is really important. Our unconscious minds work best when given tasks to do, and our unconscious minds are designed to seek more all of the time. And if we stop that from happening, allowing ourselves to drift through life, we end up feeling dissatisfied, in a rut, stuck. And there's a lot of research out there which indicates very clearly that having purpose, having direction is one of the keys to happiness. Happy people, it would seem, have goals and plans, a sense of direction and purpose, and people with plans, goals, aspirations, which they are actively pursuing are, it appears, happier. The second benefit is that by stating what we want and working towards all that we want, we allow ourselves to become aware of new opportunities and possibilities. New worlds suddenly open up. And this happens because we've told our unconscious mind what we want, doing this by setting out our goals and plans and doing it with a very specific end in mind. Our unconscious mind springs into action, realizing it now has to act so that our plans and goals become reality. And in doing so, our unconscious mind looks for new possibilities, new options, new chances, new ways to make sure that those plans and goals are actually realized. And this happens all the time. We find ourselves thinking about getting a new car, booking a holiday, buying some shoes, and suddenly we see cars, adverts for holidays, pictures of shoes that we'd like to buy just everywhere. The reality is those options were always there. We can only see them now because we've woken up the unconscious mind, told it what we want, and it now opens our eyes to options and choices. The third benefit is that if we set the goal in a well-formed way, which I'll be talking about in more detail a bit later on, is that we're being very targeted in what we want. It's all well and good talking in vague terms about what you'll do one day, that old someday I'll, which never happens, never becomes a reality. Someday I'll, that place where dreams go to fade and die. It's all well and good talking in vague terms about wanting to be happier, richer, healthier. And again, such is the vagueness that we never really know when or if we have them. Indeed, there are times when such is the vagueness that there is no real way of starting, or at least no clear way of starting. And if we don't start, how on earth can we get to where we want to be? It's a bit like deciding that you want to go somewhere, holding on to the notion of going somewhere, and then wondering why you're still at home. What we want when goal setting, when making plans, when setting out what we want to achieve, is a very specific outcome, a very specific point in time with that very specific outcome, when we can say we have it or we do not. As I said before, no ifs, no buts, no maybes. It allows us to measure progress. We're there or we're not. We've done it or we haven't. So, coaching, life coaching, is all about moving you from the reality of now, your current model of the world, to an exciting, compelling future which you have defined and described, a new model of the world. Coaching is future focused. We can learn from the past, We may have to address baggage from the past. We may need to avoid running away from the past, simply evading an unwanted past and an unwanted present. We need to be clear, really clear, about what we want in our exciting and compelling future. We have to be explicit about the benefits of achieving what we want to achieve. We must be precise about what we gain, who else gains, and how our changes will open up choice and opportunity. Above all else, we focus on what we want, what we desire, what we wish for, unaffected by necessity and obligation, driven exclusively by reaching, maintaining, and building on a new, exciting, and compelling future. All of this magic, setting goals which are exciting and compelling, giving our unconscious mind that purpose that it craves, dealing with success in something other than success, celebrating the process, the journey, can only happen if we set goals, make plans using the well-formed model. So what are well-formed goals? One of the issues about talking about what we're going to do, what we will or may or might do, or should do, is that it puts the goal in the future, over there, not happening now. It makes it feel not relevant to us now. And our unconscious mind, being very literal, takes this to mean that nothing is happening now, so it sits back and does nothing. And this means that we may miss out on opportunities, overlook resources, not see options which may assist in our success. We are also, at times, vague about what we want in our lives, talking about having more money, being healthier, getting a better job, having a holiday, which is all well and good, and all too vague for the unconscious mind to effectively assist us. For goal setting to be effective, we need to be precise, really precise about what we want. Earning an extra £2,000 a year, running 5k in under 30 minutes, having a job which includes flex time and working with people, spending a week on the Costa del Sol. Goals must be in the positive, saying what we want rather than what we don't. I'm sure, much like me, you've met people who bounce from hobby to hobby, job to job, relationship to relationship, driven by the bad experience of now and not wanting what they have now, out of that frying pan and into the proverbial fire. If you're driven by what you don't want, you could end up anywhere. And finally, goals must be about having or doing, having a holiday, running the marathon, baking a cake, earning £2,000 a year more. Goals linked to emotions, being happy, being motivated, being in love, are never effective. Emotions come and go. Everything can be fine, going well, and then something outside of our control can immediately change the emotions we are experiencing. Focus on making the very best use of your time by pursuing what makes you happy, rather than focusing on happiness itself. So, rather than placing our goals, our plans in the future, a well-formed goal brings that future into now, making it real, making us imagine what it would be like to have it now. So rather than focusing on the marathon that you're going to run next year, the cake you're going to bake next week, the new job you're going to have in 6 months' time, the ideal weight you're going to achieve by the end of the year, you imagine that it is those dates now. It's the 1st of March 2024. It's the 2nd of September 2028, and so on. And note the use of the present tense. It is. Not it's going to be or it will be. It is the 1st of March 2024. And you then state what you have or what you're doing or what you've achieved. You state what the situation is with the goal achieved. So, I'm not going to run a marathon. It's the date of the marathon and I'm crossing the finish line. I'm wearing my finisher's medal. I'm not going to bake a cake next week. I'm admiring the cake that I've just taken out of the oven. I'm eating the cake that I've just baked. I'm not going to have a new job in 6 months' time. I'm starting my new job on Monday. I've started my new job. I'm not going to lose weight. I weigh 10 stone. I am wearing the jeans that I haven't been able to get into for the last 10 years. You get the idea. And by bringing the plan, the goal into now, we secured 2 things. The first are the feelings, the sense of achievement, the opportunities, the choices that we have as a result of achieving the goal of the plan succeeding. Secondly, By bringing it into now, our unconscious mind suddenly has to get its act into gear and start doing stuff. It opens our eyes to routes to success, allowing us to see and sense opportunities, chances, possibilities. And it's the reason that we need to be precise in what we want. Tell yourself you want to be richer, and your unconscious mind lets you see the dropped pound coin in the street. Tell yourself you want to earn an extra £2,000 a year, and your unconscious mind directs your attention to a promotion, a new job, a side hustle, real opportunities to earn that extra money. One of the biggest reasons in my experience for people not setting goals is the fear of failure. That fear of achieving something other than what you wanted, and this includes the possibility of achieving nothing. I've also had people talk about the fear of being judged, by themselves or by others, for achieving something other than the stated desired outcome, including achieving nothing at all. And that fear of failure, that fear of being judged, can stop people from even starting. Indeed, it frequently does. It's so much easier, so much less risky to maintain the status quo. A crucial reframe, therefore, is to consider the process differently. Rather than fixating on goal achievement, with goal achievement being the only acceptable outcome, how about we start firstly focusing on the process we follow to that possible goal achievement? How about we recognise and celebrate our progress as we move from where we are in the direction of where we want to be? How about we acknowledge what we're learning, how we're changing, how we're developing and growing as people? Because most goals require steps in between, steps from where we are, our current model of the world, to where we want to be, our new model of the world. And with each step, we're becoming more, and we need to congratulate ourselves on this. I always think this is a bit like travelling to some distant location. Do we want to travel with our eyes shut, miss out on all the stages of the journey? Or do we want to travel eyes wide open, open to new experiences and new memories as we travel from where we are to our destination? The other consideration is when we reach that point where we evaluate whether we have the goal we set out to achieve. Have we achieved it or have we not? If we have, we may have one of two reactions. We're either pleased with our success or we're not. Similarly, if we've achieved something other than the goal we set out to achieve, which includes the possibility of having nothing, we may have one of two reactions. We're either not pleased or we are. So let me explain that a little more. We sometimes get what we set out to get, and it turns out to be something other than what we thought it would be. And there is that sense of, oh, is that it? Of almost disappointment. And it's a different feeling from being disappointed when you end up with something which is different from what you wanted. Weird, isn't it? And equally, just as we can celebrate when we end up with what we wanted and it lives up to our expectations, we can also celebrate if we end up with something different from what we set out to achieve, and actually it's pretty damn good. And think about that for a moment. If you're the couch potato and you complete the Couch to 5K challenge, not breaking the 30-minute barrier, but completing in 35 minutes, you have a huge amount of success to celebrate, even though you took longer than 30 minutes to run it. Because the reality is that if we embrace the process, the journey, the experiences of moving from where we are to where we want to be, and then evaluate the outcome when the time comes to measure our success, more often than not, we have achieved so much, learnt so much, grown and developed so much, that even if the outcome is different from what we initially wanted, we are more than likely to be in a far better place than when we started. And if we start to evaluate our progress on this basis, suddenly life takes on new and exciting meanings and opportunities. Of course, you can write the most amazing goals and plans. You can be okay with enjoying the process, the progress, the journey. You can accept that you may end up with what you wanted and you may end up with something different. You can have the very best of intentions and, of course, without action, you will remain exactly where you are. You may need to set mini goals, milestones you tick off as you progress from where you are to where you want to be. Because all you have to be very clear about is the first step. The first step you have to complete as you move from now, the reality of now, to where you want to be. And then you plan the second step and repeat, much like travelling from one end of the country to the other. Whatever your mode or modes of transport, you simply need to complete the first leg of the journey. It may be straightforward, the journey unfolding as planned. You may need to adapt. Footpaths closed or flooded, diversions in place on the roads, trains delayed or cancelled. You adapt to each step, to each next step, always moving forward. It's okay to review and change your mind. As you grow and develop, as you progress, as you see new opportunities along the way, you may want to reevaluate the end goal, change it, amend it, drop it completely and do something else. And that's okay. And in those moments when you feel disheartened, when your plans are not unfolding as you would like, return to the original goal. Remind yourself of what you want and how having what you want makes you feel. Reconnect with the excitement. Reconnect with that exciting and compelling future. And as you start to set and act on your plans and goals, as you define your today, your tomorrow, your next week, your next month, the next year, the next 10, 20, 30 years, the crucial point to remember is that it is essential to follow your highest excitement with integrity to the very best of your ability without being too concerned about the outcome. And you know that it makes sense, don't you?